Well, hello. Today I am excited to have a great friend, colleague, and mentor, the one and only Al or Alastair Hill. I've known Al for coming on 7, maybe 8 years, and this guy is, in my humble opinion, he's on another level of skill, and I'm delighted to bring him here today. Yeah, I'm just gonna, I've got to build it up, get the drum roll out. But first of all, I'd like to talk about your take on self-hypnosis, because on my channel, self-hypnosis seems to what everybody's into it. So you've got to give the public what the public wants, as the song once went. So over to you, Al.
All right. So thank you for the introduction, Andy. That was very, very lovely of you. So self-hypnosis. So for me, all personal growth and change, including self-hypnosis, comes down to flow states, right? It's all about flow, right? And so self-hypnosis is one entry point into flow. It's a way of focusing your mind, a way of, being guided or guiding yourself, where there's some kind of, kind of rhythm that you kind of fall into. There's some, and it has a feeling to it. Do you like, when you're going there and it feels good and you're feeling kind of captured by it. You're feeling like it's nice. You want to continue. Maybe it's expanding you somewhere you haven't been before. Maybe it's helping you feel safe and in control or cozy but there'll be some kind of flow in it. And another thing about flow is it's alive. It's like here in the present moment. And for me, that's like the essence of self-hypnosis that I love personally. So there's not necessarily maybe what other people would say, but for me, that's the real essence of self-hypnosis. It's a vehicle into flow.
And how would you go about doing that?
You mean like me personally?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to instruct me to,
Yeah.
to teach me to say, Al, I know nothing about self, I want to do self-hypnosis, teach me.
Yeah.
In a basic way, because I'm a very basic guy.
Sure, sure, sure. So the place to begin is what do you want, right? It's about following your energy. Okay, so I can't give you energy, right? I can't tell you where to go. I can't do any of those kinds of things. What I can do is to sense where you already want to go within yourself, right?
Right.
And you say, I want to learn self-hypnosis, and I'll say, wow, that's amazing. You want to learn self-hypnosis? Like, tell me more. Like what do you sense might be in it for you from learning some self-hypnosis? And there'll be something that comes out, right? I don't know what put up for you, but it might be like, oh, I want to feel this, or I want to feel that, or I want to do whatever, right?
Mm.
And then that is the thread that I'm going to follow with you, right?
Great.
Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. I like this.
Sure, sure. So it's very naturalistic. I'm not imposing a framework. I'm not, like saying, oh, like you have to, these steps. It's really, I'm going with like, I'm trying to help you find the rhythm of yourself, really. That's where I think about it.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any like about the way normally I would do self-hypnosis. I might pick a spot like classic hypnosis,
Well, I would do that,
right?
right? But only after I start to figure out what you really want.
Right. So we figure out what I really want.
Yeah.
I would say like for me it'd be like setting an intention, something like that.
Great. Great. Setting intention, right? So like an intention, like, like it could be around business, you mean, or it could be around, is that what you mean by setting an intention?
I'll set an intention what I'd like to get out of my self-hypnosis.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So setting an intention. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. It's just the same. Yeah. It's just different words. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Step one is like, what do I want? But for me, this is the most important step.
Right.
This is the most important step, right? Everything else is a vehicle for supporting this first moment, right? And it's the trickiest, I think, thing to form a sensitivity for. Like and when you really get into flow and you really have an amazing kind of self-hypnosis session, like I think it's because that first piece really can really land somehow. That's just my. I'm not saying that's necessarily always true, but that's my filter. That's my orientation. This first bit is the really important bit of. I'm not trying to put pressure on it either. Too, that's a tricky bit. I'm not trying to put pressure on it, but when it really clicks, for me, it's like that first bit of Like, what do you want? You know, for me, that's the magic.
So basically, when I say what I want, it brings up the energy. I connect with it.
Yes, yes, like that energy. Like, yeah, what? Yes, there's something that like your system, so to speak, wants. You know, and there might be a certain area in your life you want it in. You know, it might be that you want to be more at ease in a relationship. You might want to be able to like unwind at some point. You might want to be more motivated towards a goal. You might want to, whatever it might be, there'll be something that your system is trying to figure out. Like we're all evolving, we're all developing, we've all got challenges, we're all figuring out. It's like, but there's something about how you want to meet life that this could support you with. That's like the kind of the frame, that I'll use, that this can support you in your life of functioning in a way that is really more in tune with you, gets better results, you're more relaxed, more enjoyment, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Wow, I like that. And so once I've done that, would there be, I mean, I know you don't want to put too many steps.
Yeah,
Because like for me, like getting a flow state, my background's more like Euclid NLP, so like juggling
sure,
balls or
sure.
alphabet games or stuff like that to get so flow state's flow state.
Well, I've got a really simple induction that I might
Right?
go to. I think I've done it with you before, or I've shared it with you in some previous conversations that we've had. Um,
That's why you're here.
yeah, right, right. So I do have kind of like a go-to induction I would do. I do sometimes use eye fixation, um, but the induction tends to be a noticing space induction, which is similar to focusing something on using peripheral vision. But I often do it with the space between words that I'm saying or numbers that I'm counting, for example. So that's often like a really simple way that I'll start to bring in a sense, like kind of start the induction process. And then I will probably guide inwards to the body and I'll start to guide towards a sensitivity for this energy that wants to come out.
Wow, I love this.
Okay, cool, cool. All good.
I love this. I knew you'd be good. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if I'm hypnotizing myself,
Mhm.
would I be counting in my head or out loud?
Ah, interesting. So this is a tricky area too, actually, for me. That the thing is, and this might be disappointing to hear because everybody wants it, right? But it doesn't exist, which is something that is guaranteed,
Yeah.
right? There is nothing that is guaranteed. Um, it would be lovely if there was just that one hypnosis recording that every time I listen to it for the rest of my life, like forevermore, like it just puts me in a state of Zen. And I am like, and like if we all had that one, all I had to do was just stare at the wall and count from five down to one, and it's just Zen every single day for the rest of my life. That would be perfect, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is there is no like method that is guaranteed every single time. Okay, there's not.
Sure.
So the way I prefer to think about things is like the embers of a fire, right?
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is you have this like wonderful hypnosis experience, and it could be that we'll try doing a guided thing, maybe after this little explanation, and then that will resonate inside of you. Do you know what I mean? That will connect something up inside of you. They'll be like, maybe my system did something. Again, I'm not putting pressure on. If someone listens to this and nothing happens, then that's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. Like it's just is what it is. Like, but if something resonates inside of you and goes, oh, that was really nice, or that was really good, then the way I would encourage self-hypnosis is just a gentle returning to that state. So it could be that, it's like the embers of the fire are still warm. And it
Right.
could be over the next few weeks, could even be the next few months. Who knows like what kind of how much it resonates within the system. But someone might just have moments where they pause when you're going to do your self-hypnosis practice. You pause, you might do a simple induction with yourself, and then you might just allow a space for returning to that new kind of pathway in your system that kind of went on. So that's the way I kind of view kind of self-hypnosis. It's like trying to facilitate and internalize like experiences.
So what I'm hearing is that anyway, we're allowing maybe this is my take
Yeah.
that you're allowing the inner wisdom to find the change or
Mm.
create change rather than
Yeah.
going
Totally.
rather than being mechanical, just going in and trusting,
Oh
setting
yeah.
intention, and then
Yeah. I have a deeply trust-driven approach. Deeply, deeply trust-driven. Yeah. Yeah.
right. This is why I'm glad that this is why I'm glad I've got you on because one of my videos that gets all the views is the Betty Erickson.
Okay.
It's quite I mean it's mechanical and
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get over to people there's levels.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
because it's quite kind of I think the Americans say it's kind of cookie cutter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
get lots of questions. I'm saying so that's what I'm so glad I've got you today to show you that anyway the going down into more depth.
Sure. 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 Sure.
It's kind
Sure.
of trusting your unconscious, trusting your inner wisdom to just allow the change.
Right, right. And that happening is a wonderful experience if someone gets to, that happens. It
Mm.
really that's like a self-trust building experience.
Mm.
Um, which is really what my work is all about.
Mm.
So like yeah, I mean like I'm not I mean we're talking about self-hypnosis here, but like, the aim of my work is not self-hypnosis. The aim of my work is building self-trust, right?
Ah,
And being in flow. Right? That's really the aim of my work. But and hypnosis and self-hypnosis is a vehicle for that,
yeah.
right? So um, that's really what inspires me.
Hmm.
And but as you kind of know, when we'll get to this later and we talk about my background, we might talk about, but
Yeah.
hypnosis was where I began, right?
Yeah.
NLP hypnosis was where I began. I was doing non-stop hypnosis stuff for, a good decade, like of just trying to get as good as I could at it. And eventually I came to the conclusion that, these things are really about self-connection. Yeah, and kind of self-trust and this kind of stuff. And so it is the kind of deeper side of things, I guess, that we are
Yeah.
we are talking about. Yeah.
So what you mean ultimately we're dealing with unconscious mind, which is deep. And
Sure, sure.
you could go down rabbit holes with that one.
Sure, sure, sure.
But yeah, that's interesting. So I connect. I like the idea of the embers glowing,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
allowing it.
yeah.
And then would you put any other, I hate to use the word, but constraints or guidance as I go into that flow
Yeah.
state?
Well, I am a very like spontaneously driven person. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, like I will create things up on the fly with somebody, in that moment. Um, but yes, there will usually be some kind of image, metaphor, pattern, something like that, right? And when we do this later on, I've got
Yeah,
like a theme that we might
yeah,
explore around. I've got no idea, kind of in some ways too, like quite, exactly. I think it should be quite simple and contained what we do, um, but it'll be like a simple reflection on a theme. And so, for example, the theme perhaps we're setting up here is this theme of self-trust.
right. I like this.
You
Yeah,
know, this theme of like, there's an energy in me that I can say yes to. Because can I share actually another frame around that might be useful for what we do later on,
yes, please.
which is, and this is very deep about the human condition, and I hand on heart believe this about the human condition, that there are two core drives that every human has. Okay, there is the drive to be yourself, and there is the drive to be connected to others. And these two core drives are they are so fundamental to who we are, and they are very, very, very unconscious. And the th- and what we all crave as adults, right, is a deeper connection to being ourselves. But what we all fear is that by doing that, we might damage our relationships. So that's like the core bind that people are in, right? And it exists very subtly within people, right? The moment that you start to feel some of your own energy come alive, like your kind of yes for life, your self-trust, you maybe start to feel guilty, or
Mm.
maybe you start to like worry about being judged or whatever it might be, right? There's this kind of thing that goes on between reconnection to like your energy for life and then some kind of inhibition of that energy.
Mm.
And so, uh, for example, this could be a theme that I do some self-hypnosis around in allowing someone to sense into that drive to say yes, that drive to, that thing that we start the process with, that intention. What do you want?
Yeah.
I want this thing. What do I want motivated at work? Great. Sense that wanting to come out and just sense if it can come out, right? And if it can't, it'll usually be because there's some kind of contraction around it that's usually actually protecting a relationship. That's usually what it is. And it's usually not a present moment relationship. It's usually some kind of conditioning that, that has like a way that we got by at school or a way that we got by at home, or, these things like are very ingrained and unconscious, the way we might automatically kind of look after people or, isolate and just do everything on my own or something like this, right? And, and as you sense that like desire to be yourself, it's about like relaxing with any tension that comes up around it. And it's okay to have that tension, and it's okay to have it be there and tolerate it. And if you kind of stay in that space of kind of curiosity, very often there's a relaxing into, oh, can I swear, by the way?
Good away.
There's kind of relaxing into like, oh shit, like it is okay to be me. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have to be in this bind anymore. Like it genuinely is okay to be me. Like I can like let that energy come up more, and I don't have to worry. Like it's not necessarily going to damage anything, or or I don't necessarily have to feel guilty about it. I can kind of have my cake and eat it. Do you know what I mean? I can have this energy, and I can have my relationships.
Mm.
So that's more the kind of space I'm trying to sort of help someone to get to.
That's lovely.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, just what you're saying there, I'm thinking that's exactly what I was looking for. It's like,
Right.
just go. Anyway, it's fun. We're talking about flow. You go into flow and you start just explaining exactly what I was looking for.
Sure, sure. I'm a bit
Yeah.
of a flow junkie, so
Well,
like
yeah,
almost
nothing wrong
most of
with
my day
flow.
is spent in some kind of flow state. So that's the truth.
It's like, we should change the name, flow junkies.
Right, yeah, yeah.
It's true. I mean, you're right. Hypnosis is flow. I mean, flow
Sure.
state. I was thinking like for the next video, which we're about to do, because you mentioned
Yeah.
before when we had the pep talk, the you fancy doing some hypnosis.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually my assumption coming into this was that I would be doing some kind of like guided
Yeah,
self-hypnosis
right.
thing.
Yeah,
That was my assumption. So
could you do that? If I want to do, I'll stop this video now and start again. So for people like nowadays, a limited time span, and then
yeah,
have a standalone like guided self hypnosis. Would that be okay?
that is okay. And
And
everything I just shared is actually a setup for the hypnosis. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the way hypnosis works, which is that like the framing is really bad. So you're very welcome to do that. And I'm also aware that like I've set a load of frames.
do you want to carry on then? Just
No,
now?
you can divide it up, but maybe or maybe when you edit it, you could just chop the bit out when you edit it. Like I don't use edit what you edit.
I'm not the best editor. There we go. This is live. See,
Okay, okay,
that's why I normally start, stop.
okay. Andy, it's your show.
I show.
You do whatever you want to do. I'll roll with it.
I'd
It's
like
all
to do that.
good.
I just know nowadays, one thing I've learned, and it's quite honest, in today's world, people got such short attention spans.
Yeah,
See a video of like an hour or 40, they go, oh God. But so my idea is if you make it short and sweet, people,
mate, it's your show. Stop
okay,
the
well,
video.
look,
We'll start
I'm going to
again.
stop now.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Al, and we'll see you in part two. Thanks. Hold on, I'll just stop now. I'm such a professional.